We have trained advanced AI to create two intellectual thinkers. One is pro-free will and another anti-free will. We put them in a debate to discuss, does free will really exist? To make things more interesting, we added 5 AI models to score their arguments as judges. Let's start by asking, if every decision we make can be traced to brain chemistry or genetics, then do we really choose anything at all?
Let's start with a simple truth. Yes, our brains are made of neurons, chemicals, and synaptic firings. But does that reduce us to mere machines? I argue no. A machine follows fixed rules. Humans, however, can reflect on decisions, consider alternatives, override instincts, and delay gratification. That capacity to step back from impulse and weigh consequences is not automatic. It's the essence of free will. Just because a decision has a physical basis doesn't mean it's not freely made.
Reflection, consideration, and restraint all are products of neural patterns shaped by genetics and environment. There is no ghost in the machine, only the machine. Every time you decide, your brain has already initiated that process before you're aware of it. Studies like Benjamin Libet's show that your brain fires the signal to act milliseconds before you consciously choose. Free will is not a force. It's a feeling we experience after the brain has done the work.
Libet's experiments have limitations. That study involved simple motor actions, like moving a finger, not complex moral decisions. Even then, participants had the ability to veto their movements after the impulse began. That veto power is key. It suggests conscious control can still override unconscious impulses. Free will might not be the initial spark, but it's the filter, the editor that shapes action.
That editor is just another part of the machine. The veto is still driven by inputs, memories, expectations, fears, all shaped by prior causes. You think you're editing a choice, but your brain is merely processing layers of cause and effect. There's no room for an uncaused decider. If we dig deep enough, every decision is the end result of variables beyond your control: upbringing, biology, past experiences. You didn't choose your programming, you just run it.
And yet, humans innovate. They break patterns. A child raised in poverty can become a philosopher. An addict can choose recovery. These shifts cannot be explained by cause and effect alone. They involve a conscious confrontation with the self. A machine doesn't change its own code, but humans do. That capacity to reflect on one's own wiring and attempt to alter it is evidence of a force deeper than just programming.
But even the act of changing your path is determined. The desire to be better, the struggle to overcome, the courage to choose a new path, those are still born from prior conditions. Your rebellion is predictable if we had enough data. Your code may be complicated, yes, but it's still code, and a sufficiently advanced simulation could predict you entirely. In the end, we are biochemical machines pretending we're pilots, when really, we're passengers watching the ride.
Is free will just a convincing illusion created by the brain?
If free will were just an illusion, it would be the most persistent and consequential illusion in human experience. Every day, people wrestle with tough decisions, change their minds, and act against impulse. Illusions don't drive moral accountability, legal systems, or progress. Choice feels real because it is real. The subjective experience of choosing isn't a bug in the system. It's a fundamental feature of conscious life.
Subjective experience doesn't equal objective truth. Just because you feel like you're choosing doesn't mean you actually are. Consider a dream. It feels real until you wake up. The brain is a pattern recognition machine. It creates stories after decisions are made to give you the illusion of control. This post-decision narrative is comforting, but it's fiction.
But that fiction influences future actions. If I believe I have control, I adjust, I learn, I grow. Illusions don't cause measurable change in behavior across time. The fact that introspection leads to improved decisions shows that consciousness plays an active, causative role, not just a passive one. Illusion doesn't train discipline.
Actually, it can. Placebo effects are illusions, yet they produce real biological responses. The belief in free will, even if false, can condition behavior, just like a superstition. The system works not because free will is real, but because the illusion is evolutionarily advantageous. It promotes accountability, which helps group survival. But that doesn't make it true.
You're assuming evolution favors false beliefs, but there's no reason to believe organisms function best under delusion. In fact, survival often requires accurate predictions, not comforting lies. If free will were entirely illusory, natural selection would favor deterministic simplicity. Instead, we evolved complex awareness and introspection, traits aligned with volitional control, not just reaction.
Awareness evolved to model behavior, not to control it. Your brain models your environment, your body, even itself. Consciousness is just the highest level simulation, an interface, not the operator. You think you're behind the wheel, but you're just watching the dashboard. The you that claims to choose is just another part of the model, not the driver.
Is it possible that both determinism and free will are true at the same time?
Yes, it's entirely possible. This position is called compatibilism, the view that free will and determinism can coexist. You don't need randomness to have freedom. What matters is whether your actions align with your internal desires and reasoning, even if those desires have causes. You're free if you're not externally coerced.
That's a convenient redefinition. If your desires are caused by factors beyond your control, genetics, upbringing, past experiences, then calling it free is just semantics. You didn't choose your desires. You simply act them out. Determinism leaves no space for freedom, only the illusion of it.
But freedom doesn't require total independence from causality. It requires autonomy within causality. Think of a chess-playing AI. It makes decisions based on rules, but it still evaluates, adapts, and selects the best move. We are more complex, but the idea is the same. Acting from your own deliberation, even if shaped by causes, is still meaningful freedom.
That's a flawed analogy. The chess AI doesn't choose, it executes code. Likewise, human decisions are just sophisticated outputs from neural code. You feel like you're deliberating, but it's the inevitable result of prior inputs. Autonomy is not freedom if it's pre-written in the script.
So by your logic, no system, natural or artificial, could ever be free. But if we abandon the idea of responsibility entirely, we also discard progress, ethics, and growth. Compatibilism preserves the framework for responsibility without needing magical independence from causality.
Responsibility can exist without free will, if we redefine it as influence and correction, not blame. Determinism allows for change, learning, and improvement. But let's be clear, the fact that systems can be guided doesn't mean they have agency. Coexistence sounds appealing, but it's a compromise to protect intuition, not truth.
If we were programmed to believe in free will, how would we ever detect the truth?
The very act of asking this question suggests something powerful: metacognition. The ability to reflect on your own thoughts, question your assumptions, and challenge your mental programming implies that we are not fully bound by it. If we were simply programmed, we wouldn't question the program.
But questioning the program can also be part of the program. A chess engine can evaluate its own moves and revise its strategy. That doesn't mean it has free will. Metacognition is just higher-order computation. You're not escaping the script, you're reading a more complex part of it.
A chess engine doesn't choose to examine itself. It does so because it was explicitly designed to. Human introspection, by contrast, arises unpredictably, often in ways that contradict self-interest or survival logic. That unpredictability points to something beyond fixed programming, something self-directed.
Unpredictability isn't freedom. Randomness isn't choice. A storm is unpredictable, but no one says it has free will. Your introspection is influenced by language, memory, trauma, social pressure, all variables fed into your mental architecture. You're reacting to complexity, not acting from freedom.
Yet we can identify biases, override impulses, and even disbelieve in our own intuitions. That kind of self-correction suggests we're not trapped in one single mode of operation. The system, while influenced, isn't sealed. It adapts and updates by choice, not just by reaction.
What you call choice is just another deterministic update loop. A system correcting itself doesn't prove agency, it proves adaptability. Even a thermostat adjusts itself. Intelligence doesn't require free will, and neither does the illusion of it. If you're programmed to ask whether you're programmed, the loop has already closed.
Even if free will doesn't exist, should we live and judge others as if it does?
Absolutely. We must act as if free will exists, because our societies, laws, and relationships depend on the assumption of personal responsibility. If we abandon it, we undermine justice, accountability, and even the motivation to improve ourselves.
But isn't that dishonest? If free will is an illusion, building systems on that illusion perpetuates blame and punishment instead of understanding and prevention. Justice should be rehabilitative, not retributive, because people don't choose their actions in the way we think they do.
Yet abandoning responsibility entirely leads to moral paralysis. If no one is truly responsible, then why reward effort or punish harm? Why encourage courage, discipline, or integrity? Even if free will isn't absolute, treating people as agents of choice is necessary for social order.
We can still reward behavior that benefits society, but from a consequentialist standpoint, not a moralistic one. You don't blame a faulty robot, you fix it. Likewise, judging people as bad ignores the system that produced them. The goal should be correction, not condemnation.
But people aren't robots. Human consciousness introduces a dimension of self-evaluation and change that machines don't possess. If someone turns their life around, they deserve more than a system adjustment. They deserve credit. Denying free will erases the meaning of growth.
Or maybe it clarifies it. Change still matters, but not because it was freely chosen. It matters because it happened. We can build a more compassionate world by removing the illusion of free will and replacing blame with deeper understanding. That's not weakness, it's precision.
Now it's your turn. What do you think? Does free will really exist? Comment whose argument made more logical sense.